Which of these mistakes do you make when using memory techniques, memory palaces, and related mnemonics? I want to help you solve the issues no matter what those mistakes are, and so everything that you need that I can imagine is coming right up. Hey there, this is Anthony Metivier from magneticmemorymethod.com, where we help mature learners of every age learn how to use memory techniques so that you can memorize vocabulary and phrases from languages, names of all the people that you meet, complicated information from deep and snarly philosophical textbooks. Whatever it is that you need to learn, we can help you do it in ways that are easy, elegant, effective, and fun. And that's very, very powerful. So if you're new here, get started now by clicking subscribe, hitting the thumbs up, and get prepared in your mind for what you might place in the comments below when it comes to the classic mistakes you make with memory techniques. And you know what? Here's the biggest mistake of all, and the solution. People don't make mistakes with memory techniques. They're trying to avoid them. This is a terrible idea. This is the worst thing that you could ever do. You cannot and will not have perfect memory because your memory is already perfect just the way it is. And I really sincerely mean that, and I can prove it to you, simply because everything you're going to do with memory techniques relies upon you just getting more familiar and intimate and comfortable with your memory as it is so that you can train it. And one of the things that you really need to understand is that all the memory competitors in the world, they are good at two things. They have trained their memories and they have trained themselves to compete. And it's very important to understand this distinction because having a trained memory and having a trained memory that's trained to compete are related, but they're very different skills. To give you a contrary example, I used memory techniques to help me get my PhD, which involved 3 very heavy-duty exams that I had to sit for. And there is very much a difference between the going to exams cold and going to exams with the practice of having gone to exams, okay? And so I also had an opportunity to practice going to these exams with memory techniques on my side, and I definitely got better by the last one. And when the last one, push came to shove, I was really under pressure. One person was really trying to knock me down. I still passed, and at the end, the external he was called, who came to judge me, he said, you know, the only guy cooler than you is Miles Davis. And I still don't know exactly what that means, but I know that it really means that I was just calm and relaxed. And we'll talk about that before this video ends because that's another secret. But the reality is you've got to actually practice 2 things. You've got to practice using the memory techniques in private, and you've got to practice using them when it's in the real world, in the actual situations in which you're going to use the information. And so you've got to make mistakes. You will make mistakes. It's not about perfect memory, it's about trained memory. And it's about trained memory that you use when push comes to shove and knowing what to do to keep your cool, to keep your head about you when you do make mistakes, because you will. And so one of my highest values has been to demonstrate this, and we're doing a lot of live streams. And by the way, if you're not subscribed, hit subscribe and get subscribed so you can join us on some of these live streams, because when I see people that I know there, I will try and relate something that I've memorized that I remember about them, and sometimes I will make mistakes. So a case in point, Michael Swain. Hi Michael. He was on and we had an opportunity to talk one time about, you know, it's not that difficult in Japanese, which if memory serves, and I'm still not sure that I got this right, is Mutsu Koshi Kashi Kunai. And this is a very interesting example to look at. Now, there's a problem with it, which is that I'm not actually learning Japanese. So the attention that I've paid to this particular thing is a bit extraordinary, but this is one of the issues that a lot of people get into, is they make the mistake of paying too much attention to memorizing information that has nothing to do with information that will improve their lives. Now, in this case, it will improve my life to actually focus on this, and I am focused on it, but you see, the thing is, and this is the benefit of actually practicing using memory techniques in real life situations, is you can see your mistakes. And I continually have this kosh sound, and that's because the original mnemonic that I used had Goshman, who is a magician who made a particular magical device, and he's quite famous for doing it. And so that's the primacy effect in effect. But nonetheless, I still very successfully laid the groundwork to be able to recall this but a number of factors started to compete to make it that I ultimately made this mistake. But I didn't make a mistake because I gave it a try to see if I got it right. And so you can't make a mistake if you just give it a try. Just so you know, the image here was in a memory palace, and it is a cow that goes moo, and a zoo, so moo tsu, and then it's cash shi kunai, if memory serves. And so I had Kosh instead of like Johnny Cash, which would have made much more sense. And then this sheep thing I needed there, I don't think I ever got it right that first time because I would drop the she, so it would be this different thing. And then kunai, well, German ku for cow. So now I got two cows, which is maybe causing confusion because now there's the cow in English and the cow in German. And then nai is a bit difficult, but nai, I think in Chinese, is milk, right? So, you know, there's a lot of things that go into this, but at the end of the day, you never really observe what's really going on in your mind with these things until you put them out there, until you see whether you got it right under the gun, in the real world, when it counts. And so I highly, highly encourage you to think about what you could be doing to go out there and get your memory techniques from your private practice into your public practice, and then just be relaxed when you make mistakes and observant of the mistakes, and turn them into a teacher, turn them into a lesson, and turn them into an opportunity for you to improve and to really, really get more intimate with the nature of your memory and your mind, and then just think mechanically, well, that should have been this, and tighten those screws. I'm actually tightening them right now because I hope Michael will see this. We'll send it to him, and maybe he'll leave a comment and say, yeah, no, you still haven't got it, or maybe you do. But another thing, you know, is that maybe if you know this, Mutsukashi Kunai, maybe you can find a native speaker speaking it, because I still haven't heard it from a native. I've only heard it from someone learning Japanese. And another thing that's really interesting about this, and I'm so glad that I've gone and rolled it out, is I was speaking with another guy, and he said, no, it's Mutsukashi Jinai, I think it was. And that's another grammatical possibility in Japanese, but I don't know, because I'm not studying Japanese. I just am memorizing it out of interest and practicing my own memory and being sharing the journey with you. But it's not a mistake, and it cannot be a mistake because it's being observed and data is being collected to refine the practice and turn it into a teaching moment. I just happen to be turning it into a teaching moment both for myself and for you at the same time. And that's ultimately what I suggest that you do. Turn everything into a teaching moment for yourself and for others. Because when you explain memory techniques to other people, you share with them the journey that you're on, you're going to learn them better, and they're going to have the opportunity to learn them too. And so that is the most incredible thing to understand in the world. Now, in terms of actually the mistakes at a mechanical level that people make, well, it's usually pretty easy. Their memory palaces are not well formed. The answer? Make sure that you create well-formed memory palaces. The second thing is that they don't have truly magnetic imagery that accesses all of the possible 7 magnetic modes. So we talk a lot about cave cog or cog caves or whatever. There's a lot of different ways that you could arrange these letters to make your own mnemonic. We try to avoid learned helplessness, so I suggest you just come up with your own. To me, cave cogs make sense, or cog caves, whatever it is. The point is it's just an acronym to remember that your imagery should be auditory, it should be visual, it should be kinesthetic, it should be olfactory, it should be gustatory, it should have some sort of conceptual element, and it should ideally be in a memory palace. So look at this. If we do just the cave filled with cogs, and the cave is spelt with K, and it's being punched by a kangaroo, and the cogs all come boiling out, then you should be able to remember cave cogs if that image resonates with you. And C is for conceptual, O is for olfactory, G is for gustatory, and then we have the K is for kinesthetic, A is for auditory, V is for visual, and then S, of course, is ultimately space. Space, the memory palace. And so if you can just hit all of that all at the same time, then you won't make mistakes with your images, and you can apply all of that to your memory palaces as well, and then your memory palaces will be a lot more, and they'll work a lot better. And then all you have to do after that is you got to make sure that you are doing recall rehearsal effectively, which there's a number of patterns, and you got to find your own pattern. There's no magic number. Don't let anybody tell you there's a magic number. You have the magic number, and it's always shifting and changing, and is relative to the nature of the information, the level of your skill, and how much you're applying everything to what I call the big five of learning, which is that you read, you write, you speak, you listen in ways that serve memory, and you use your memory to read, write, speak, and listen. So I do things like Mutsu Kashi Kunai, and I'm speaking it right now, right? Right or wrong, speaking it right now to get it out of my mouth and into the world. It's not that difficult, you know? So make sure you're doing that. Write it out, type it out. I typed it today in an earlier session, which is helping or not helping. I don't know. I'm not learning Japanese. So that's another thing, and it's a huge mistake that I hope you can solve for yourself, is memorize the information that you actually need to be focused on. When people learn languages, they worry about the 20,000 words they don't know, instead of focusing on the 850 you need for a daily conversation. Just focus on the words that matter. Get it done. Don't ever get caught up in the numbers game. Just follow and make mistakes with the words you actually need, so you can observe the mistakes you made to correct it, and then move forward from there. But if you get caught up in the numbers game and think, well, there's an infinity of terms in medicine, or 1,000 precedents that I'll never be able to cover, you might be right, because the chances are you never could cover them. Not with that attitude, that's for sure, and you probably don't need that much. What you need is just one, and then the next one, and then the next one, and the next one. And what ends up happening is you develop something called memory reserve that allows you to add on more and more information as you go along based on what you already know. So if I was learning a language like Japanese and whatnot, it would start to develop memory reserve, and information would cling to the information I already know, right? And that's what will happen to you. It's why philosophy becomes faster and faster for me the more that I read it, because I have so much memory reserve developed from just having built the foundations. And that will be true for you. So focus on the information that matters and just get it done, and don't tell yourself a bunch of stories about how difficult it is or how there are zillions of facts or any of that. Exaggeration is poison. Just be practical, be realistic, and always focus on what matters. So if you are still needing to learn how to make memory palaces quickly, effectively, so you don't lead yourself into traps, so you don't lead yourself into blind spots, and so that you can create magnetic imagery very, very rapidly and in ways that are fun, then you need to take the free course at magneticmemorymethod.com/YT, and you can get the link for that down below. And I strongly encourage you to get involved with this community so that you're able to have discussions with the rest of the community and encourage yourself to continue with this wonderful skill. It's a tradition that's been around for thousands of years. It's an art, it's a science, it's a craft. It's like a martial art of the mind. And the more you use it, the better and sharper and crisp and clear your concentration becomes, and your memory is just an incredible asset that you fall in love with, which means you get to fall more in love with yourself and have confidence, have clarity, have consistency in your life, have creativity, and have competence over your mind. And that's all available now at magneticmemorymethod.com/YT. Thanks for watching this video. Hope it helped you. I look forward to some comments down below. I want to hear what you're struggling with, what problems I may have missed, and what solutions that you might have to share from your own experience. And until we have a chance to speak again, thanks again for watching this video. And until we speak again, keep yourself magnetic.